Welcome to Scotland. As you can see, we are still early in the season. It's still snowing here. We're in March, but the reason why we're here is because the season starts the 15th of February. Scotland has a very long tradition for salmon fishing with fly rods. And one thing they're also very famous for is the Speycast. The Speycast originated here, and we have invited Mike Donald to show us the details regarding the Speycast.
Now what we're going to do now is just go through the single spey, and we always want to start with the line in the fished out position, which is parallel to the bank. Always remember that if the river is coming off your right shoulder, then you should be doing a single spey off your right hand with the right hand uppermost. And if you just look, the first thing you do is just lift the tip of the rod up to put some tension on the line. So we'll just go back, I'll roll it back downstream. Now what we have to do now is lift the line and the fly up about a rod and a half lengths up behind us and slightly out in front. So lift up the tension, sweep the fly up and see where it lands. That's where you're aiming for. If the fly lands down below you, then stop. It's very dangerous, the risk of the fly coming up and into your face. So this time I'm going to put it all together in the fished out position, lift up, sweep upstream, set the fly and launch it. Now the energy for that is by stopping the rod high, aimed at the trees on the other bank. And notice that the energy comes from the top and the bottom hand. It's not a single-handed cast, two hands, and the split is roughly 60% on the top hand and 40% on the bottom hand. So it's a push and pull. So lifting up, sweep upstream and launch it.
Mike Donald is a man of many talents. Retired soldier and police officer, passionate bagpiper and fly fisherman. On top of that, he's a casting instructor and guide, or ghillie as they're called here in Scotland, at the River Dee.
So we're now going to have a look at the double spey cast. And again, this is on the wrong shoulder, if you like, with the left hand uppermost. Normally you would be fishing that if you're on the other bank, but there are occasions when you need to do that when you're on this bank. And one of the occasions would be if you've got a strong downstream wind. It's very important not to attempt this with an upstream wind. So we're going to break it down into all the little component parts again. I'm just going to roll the line downstream. The first thing to do again is just lift it up to put some tension on it. From there we need to sweep the fly and set it down below us by crossing the hands. And see, look down there and you'll see where the fly is sitting. That's very important. If it comes too close to you or upstream of you, just abort the cast. Put the tension on the line, cross your hands, set the fly in the right place, sweep down and round and launch it. So in the fished out position, lift up, put some tension on the line, cross your hands, set the fly in the right position, unwind, form a nice big loop and tap it across the stream. What could be more simpler than that?
The Speycast is named after the River Spey, which is a neighbour to the Dee. The situation of the two rivers is very similar, but it was at the banks of Spey fly fishermen developed a casting technique in the 19th century, and this technique is still being used.
Well, it actually originated on the River Spey, north from here, and it goes back about 200 years. Little is actually known about who was actually responsible for it, but there's little doubt that when they were fishing they couldn't get enough, ground area behind them to get an overhead cast, so they had to develop a cast which took into account the fact that you had a high bank or trees very close to the river, and that's where it was developed from. And I suspect that it was local anglers who said, well, we're going to have to be inventive here because otherwise we're not going to be able to cover the water. And of course they used full lines in those days, something which was really, really handy for them. And of course it's very economical because you're just lifting the line up from the water, sweeping it and casting it. There's no false casting or anything like that required in it.